Welcome to the Daily News. I'm here with Doge of Shotgun Seat Productions. And today's a big day, I guess. It's a slow day for news, but it's a big day for people waiting on those updates and promises from 1.5 years ago for the consoles, particularly the PS4. Now that the new PlayStation update is live, you can suspend and resume games that are on your hard drive. So if you got a bunch of digital games and you just want to switch to another game, you don't have to go through the trouble of finding a save point, saving, and then loading it back up when you come back into the game anymore. Which is cool. It's a feature Xbox already had, but there's a bunch of other features in the PS4 update as well. But what is a sort of surprise update is the fact that the PlayStation 4 will now have Spotify. And here's the funny thing about that. Sony got rid of their service called Music Unlimited, and they now have a service called PlayStation Music. I don't understand why they did that. I thought they were just gonna move like immediately into Spotify and just be like, "Oh, all right, now we've got Spotify." But apparently they're, hanging on to a thread or something with some type of service, PlayStation Music, which is now live in 41 countries, including probably most of the ones you've ever heard of. And Spotify is basically the complete core of this. It's only available on PS3 and PS4 for now, and Sony Xperia smartphone and tablet. Spotify has 30 million tracks. You can use them as a soundtrack, or you can stick with in-game audio, obviously. And basically, it's not totally clear yet if you're going to be able to use your custom playlists in order, because that is a feature that's for Spotify Premium. Usually you just get your playlists randomized if you're not a premium
Well, if
paying.
you have premium, I assume it would still be the same even in the application version. So, but if
Right.
you don't have premium, then likely not.
Yeah,
But I mean, Spotify Premium's totally worth it if you don't want to buy a bunch of music off of like iTunes or something.
right. And take the time to load them onto different devices and
Yeah, you can just stream them, or you can even download them on particular devices as well. As long as you have premium, of course, they will work.
apparently you can also use a Spotify Connect app on your phone to control Spotify with your phone in your hand if you're
The
playing the
Power
game
Connect.
without interrupting the game, or you can use your PlayStation controller. So that's kind of cool, I guess. It'll play the tracks in the background and all that, just like we expected. But I guess since there's this PlayStation Music content launcher, they're calling it, I guess that means that Spotify is not going to be the only service that gets put into the mix.
Maybe
But
you finally be able to, install music onto your hard drive like you could do on the older platforms.
yeah, somehow I have serious doubts about
It's
that.
probably not because there's reasons, but no reason to
Yeah,
get into those.
I don't know what they're doing with this. I personally, now that I'm seeing this, I think it's kind of stupid, but maybe it'll be a good thing. If it's a more options is always a good thing. But if Spotify works just fine, I don't really see the point. It seems like Sony's just wasting money again, like they always do, on things that nobody wants. But oh well, whatever.
Amazing Spider-Man.
So, other than that, let me quickly go through some of the features of the update. You can search for Facebook friends. I thought you could already do that. Okay, whatever. Use the touchpad to control Blu-ray playback. Nobody cares. Um, let's see.
Nobody cares. There's gotta be one dude out there that's like raising his hand, like, "Yay! Features that are already on my PS3 and actual Blu-ray player."
A journalist found one feature that Jermaine, our deputy editor, was telling me about. It's not Sony didn't try to make a big deal of this, but some journalists figured it out, which is that you can have your TV be the speakers and your microphone of a headset be the microphone. So I guess that was not possible before, which I did notice, I'll admit, because I tried to just have my headset sitting on my desk and just sort of yell at it and have my TV. This is before I got the PS4 camera hooked up. So like I couldn't hear you guys out of the TV speakers if I had a headset plugged in, which was kind of annoying, but it wasn't like a major big deal. I guess it was. I mean, it is. It's very inconvenient for when you're trying to do that and you can't. But it's also not like a big huge feature to like announce. So they just kind of did that and didn't say anything. And some journalists figured that out. Let's see. Jermaine was messaging me like all for like weeks about this update, and I was like, boring, boring. But so there's a lot of features. I'm probably not gonna get to them all. I guess now you can post pictures of stuff to Facebook without having to press as many buttons. Now you can
And
just
I'm like manually do it. It like takes pictures of like every trophy that you get and saves them, which I'm not sure how I feel about that because of space issues already.
right.
Unless of course I would have a terabyte, but I haven't upgraded yet. But
Well, pictures are not as bad as video, but yeah,
yeah, definitely not as bad as video.
they're
But I
pretty
mean,
high
it's
def
every trophy
pictures.
you get, and
Yeah.
I think you could set to where like on PS3 you could just automatically upload your trophies. I think you can do that with PS4. I don't know yet, but I guess now it'll just send pictures
Right.
as your trophies to
Screenshots
Facebook,
of
and for
scenes when you
some
earn trophies are now
yeah.
saved automatically.
Yep, see.
You can now share trophy details with the screenshots. Okay.
Those are just some social themes for people who like to collect trophies and such, but nothing really too pressing.
So the main feature is the one that Xbox already has, which is digital games. I'm assuming only digital games. I mean,
No, I tried with Grand Theft Auto 5, which I owned on disc, and it actually worked for that one too.
as long as you don't take the
Just like
disc out, right?
yeah, as long as you don't take the disc out, of course. But digital game will just stay suspended once off, and on Xbox it does the same thing for physical or digital. I think it's been there since the beginning on
And the
Xbox.
Vita,
I'm not 100%
the
sure.
the
And
P,
Vita, yes, Vita, that's a feature on
yeah,
there too.
and the PSP had that as well. Well, wait, no, no, the PS.
PSP, you could turn it off, but it would still run down the same amount of battery of just the screen, so there won't be any burn-in reductions and such.
No, it didn't run the same amount of battery.
Really?
No, yeah,
I always thought it did.
it conserved the battery, I think. Well, I don't know. It's hard to tell. Kind of splitting hairs with that device because it's not very good on battery, anyways. But all right, whatever. Moving right along. Halo 5 got a release date last night with the two new trailers. We're going to be doing a Hunt the Truth podcast about that, which will be coming out this week on Shotgun Seat Productions and RealGamerNewz.com. And so we're not going to go really in depth on that. But what was the release date again, Tristan?
They at the end of I believe it was the second trailer, they showed it was October 27th, 2015.
Nice. Okay.
So it's not going to be November because Microsoft apparently already has a pretty hefty November lineup for some reason. So they're going to put it right before Halloween, and it'll basically probably be, as far as we know, the only big game really come out in October. So they kind of have that whole month there to themselves at the end. And Halo 5's already definitely going to generate a lot of sales because, I mean, come on. It's like, it's Halo. What else do I have to say?
We have a quote from 343 studio boss Bonnie Ross, and she says on Xbox Wire, the press website, this is our source. It's a Microsoft press website. So she says, "We wanted Halo 5 we wanted Halo 5 Guardians to be the game that pays off the epic promise of the Halo universe in scope and scale and drama. We want to amaze players with the sheer size of the worlds and battles they'll experience, even as they question everything they thought they knew about its heroes, marvels, and mysteries." She finished by saying, "We can't wait to debut the game to Xbox fans around the world at E3 this June." So that's everybody's waiting
Yeah, that
for
sounds some like the possible rumor that the game does feature open world locations with saying larger scopes. As a little known fact, Halo 3 was actually supposed to have open world areas, but
the.
was cut out due to 360's limitations.
All right. Well, we're gonna have to get back to that in our Hunt the Truth podcast. So
Oh,
stay
believe me,
tuned
we
for
are.
that.
I was already going to point that out.
And just a reminder, um, there is Halo ODST is promised as a free update to the Halo Master Chief Collection. That's
To anyone who played during 2014, I believe, even though I don't know if that's the case anymore since the game did not work until the end of February. As now the multiplayer works great,
I mean,
but
it worked for me, but I mean, I
for
don't know.
most people it would
Most
take
people, it did
minutes to
not work.
find matches, and the player base has really fallen down since then due to the fact broken games.
Right. Okay. So I see what you're saying, but in any event, they dropped the ball a little bit getting that multiplayer to work correctly on the older
Which you know
games.
they better not make the same mistake with their new title, but I don't think there's really any way that could happen again. But I've been proven wrong before by many companies, which John knows who I'm talking about. Dice.
Anyways, moving right along, we'll get into more of this Halo talk soon, as we mentioned. So another update news that's not really major to me, but it's gonna lead into one of our secondary topic, and then we got a final topic. But voice messaging on the Xbox One is coming in the April update, and at the same time as that, they've announced that the voice chat is going to have dedicated servers from now on. So Tristan, you want to speak on that for a minute and what that means for people? Because people don't really understand, for some reason, what dedicated servers adds. They're always trying to protest dedicated servers for some reason. So
Well, basically, this means that they aren't going to suck unless they somehow botch the dedicated servers, which they have a multiplayer games, but this is Xbox Live Party Chat, which is an entire different thing and probably on relatively should be easier, but I'm no programmer, so. But basically on 360, and this does not occur as much on Xbox One, but it does occur. As everyone knows, if someone with really bad connection joined the party, or sometimes the parties would just completely lag out and you couldn't rejoin, there's a lot of different examples I could use. Basically you start hearing people start making like the Gears of War chainsaw sound is basically the only really thing I can compare this to. And then everyone will lag out, or you just won't hear anything, and everyone will start to lag out, and then you'll have to try to start a whole new party, but then it will basically just kind of ruin a lot of people's like Xbox Live connections in terms of the party chat features. Doesn't mean that your internet is bad. I mean, usually it's one person's internet that will mess up the rest in
like
terms of party chat.
like for example, when we were playing with Nigel, didn't he keep trying to join our voice chat and that kept kicking us out of the
Yeah, it
game?
kept kicking us out of the party because his internet connection was so
In
terrible
the actual
compared to
game we were
ours.
playing
Yeah,
too.
it kicked us out of our actual game, and Xbox started running really slow, so I just rebooted it and everything was fine.
Yeah, and then he tried
But
to join again, and it happened again, and we were like, "Go away."
yeah, we just kind of started ignoring him after that.
So
Didn't want
that
to be an asshole, but I mean,
right, we
I'm
were trying to
sorry.
play. Right, we ended up not even playing the rest of the night because we couldn't get it all back together. So
Oh
yeah,
well.
hopefully that'll be gone. That'll be those problems will be gone. Right? I mean, that's the whole point of
Yeah,
dedicated.
that's the whole point of this. At least for Xbox One, I'm pretty sure if you plug in 360, it's still gonna, you know,
It may be due to the limitations of the system at some point, or they're just not going to update it because it's old.
probably the limitations of the system because I mean, 360 was pretty outdated about what 3, 4 years after it came out.
Depending on how you're looking at it, people can say that consoles are outdated the day they come out, but I mean, depends how you're looking at it.
Not necessarily back then, but nowadays, yeah, these new systems are about probably a little bit less than medium range PCs. So yeah, they're definitely outdated, but it's that doesn't matter. We're moving on.
Moving on, let's see. Further updates. Further details of the update. Game apps and save updates. Game save progress bar will show you the status of your game saves. You will also be able to easily tell what games and apps are being updated or have been updated recently. That's kind of important because when you're shutting off the Xbox or when you're updating or downloading something, it's kind of weird to understand what exactly it's doing. So that's a kind of a very minor thing, but friends improvements. Notifications will be added to see when favorites and friends sign into Xbox Live. I thought I already did that. This is
Maybe more like I've noticed sometimes it doesn't always show.
this
So
is one of the
maybe it's
most
like more
frequently
stability.
this is one of the most frequently requested features, says Larry Major Nelson.
Well, don't listen to anything that guy says, but
So we made it a priority to include it in the S update. Also, friends who are in multiplayer will be identified in the friends list. Okay. What do
okay.
they mean?
That sounds like something that already exists. I don't know
Yeah,
what they're talking about there.
I don't know what they mean either. Connect voice and motion improvements. Okay.
Well, cool.
Reduce false positives on non-hand objects, triggering the
Well,
connect.
I mean, if you own Kinect, then thank God, because that's a huge issue with the 360 Kinect. When I use Kinect on Xbox One, the only real positive thing I could say is that it kind of had some cool feature and ideas, and the voice commands actually worked like probably like 88% of the time, but the hand gestures were terrible. So
You're like
maybe
trying to
that'll
eat a
actually,
sandwich and it's like, oh, all right.
yeah, you'll be sitting there watching Netflix and it'll see your hands move up while you're like eating food, and it'll like go like into like a completely different game. It'll like, well, I remember one time I booted up Titanfall when I was watching like Netflix, and I was like, okay, I don't know how that even happened.
Improved game DVR video quality. Yeah,
Thank God.
PlayStation's claiming the same thing. Blu-ray player supports 50 hertz video output. That's for Europe, I believe, because American stuff
I'm pretty
uses
sure it already did in America anyway.
America uses 30 or 60. I don't think they use 50 on any
It's
machines.
60 hertz
Yeah,
as the bare minimum.
yeah, Blu-ray player supports 50 now, so that's probably a European thing. Controller and headset adapter firmware updates will reduce audio static and improve wireless connectivity. That's that
That's
reminds
cool,
me
I
of
guess.
that reminds me of something. Do you ever get this like sound on the screen from your Xbox, like out of your TV speakers,
Yeah, like it'll be like when you're on an application or something, you'll start hearing that every now and then.
yeah, like when you're messing around in the main menu or
Yeah,
the
I've noticed that.
dashboard? Yeah, it's kind of aggravating because it's such an expensive machine. But to be fair, my PS4 does the same damn thing. It does like a
I've never noticed on my PlayStation 4, but I'm sure that it happens.
well, I don't know. Maybe it's because how many friends I have, so the PS4 is really
Well,
busy. I don't
well, I
know.
have like I think I have like almost 400 friends on there, and I have like 300 on Xbox.
Okay, so maybe it's not that, but I don't know, but because it's always just like, which is like, it's trying. I think it's trying to tell me that it's like not handling the processor load or something. I don't know. It like visually,
It's bad stability, likely.
yeah, you can visually see it like glitching a little bit. And it's only like for microseconds and then it stops, but it's just annoying to hear that sound when you paid so much money for these devices. So hopefully that's what they're talking about, but I have a feeling like that's not what they're talking about. So, whatever. Silent reboot after system updates and system update on demand now available. Wait a minute, what? I don't know what that means. If your console
System.
is in
I
instant
guess maybe it will just auto update for you now.
I thought it already does that.
I
Silent
don't think it's
reboot
always asked me. I know it did for 360 at one
on
point
the
in time.
mode. On the instant on mode, the update will happen automatically and return to standby upon completion. This means you won't need to power on your console after an update.
Okay.
If you
Alright,
want
that's
to
what I
take
thought it was.
if you want to take future updates when available without waiting for your console to do it on its own, we've added this. What? That confuses me. Whatever. Anyways, some type of update shit that nobody cares. Well, that one is kind of important, but it's just gonna do whatever it does, so whatever. It's still automatic. It's just different. It's not really explained well by Major Nelson. He did kind of a shitty job explaining all that stuff.
He always does a shitty job, even though I know this is news, not opinion, but I'm just being honest.
Sounds like he doesn't really.
He doesn't know what he's talking
Yeah,
about.
exactly.
He's not a programmer, and he's not even really a gamer anymore, is he?
I don't know, but
It-
I think he is a gamer. But I don't think he's an engineer like he tries to act like. So he's kind of does a bad job writing those.
Yeah, he said. I remember he said that Xbox can't work without Kinect, and then someone was like, "How do you know?" And he goes, "Are you a programmer?" And it's like, "Are you?"
Well, anyways, uh, one quick last piece of a warning to the wise. There's word out that the PS4 update 2.5 is bricking consoles. However, the people that are giving this news, first of all, there's a lot of PlayStation 4 sold, and
not everyone that is giving this news is going to be what he says, but I've seen a few places that are saying this.
Well, it needs to be said anyways. This whole entire
Yeah.
talk needs to be had anyways. Yeah, this talk
Okay.
needs to be said. Basically, uh, I just want to say and get through this really quickly. There's a lot of PlayStation 4s out there, and no matter what update, no matter how much an update is tested, there's always going to be some percentage of people that have a bricked console from it, even if you never hear about it in the news. And so if you hear about it, like a lot of websites nowadays, if one or two people get, like, say if I got my console bricked, I'd probably be so aggravated, I would probably do an article about it, like, say a year or two ago. Now, I don't know, because I'm trying to take a more balanced approach and think about how many people is this affecting. I mean, so like just because it affects a few people or maybe even 100 people, that is a sort of an issue, but it doesn't mean that you should like be afraid of updating or like angry at Sony necessarily, which we got plenty of reasons to be angry at them for, but I'm just saying
Well,
there's over.
apparently they want you to pay like 150 to even fix it or something. I don't know if that's 100% accurate, but I've seen some sites say that.
Well, yeah, but that is for every console. Xbox doesn't
Yeah,
fix it for free either once you're out of your
unless you're
warranty.
under warranty. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the same thing with Sony. If you're under warranty, you don't have to pay the 150. But that's not neither here nor there because we have no idea how many people are getting bricked and if anybody really is getting bricked, if is it really from the update. We have no way of telling that unless there's like large amounts of complaints online. And even that could be sort of fake, but it's usually not fake. But all I'm saying is if, it seems to me there's like one or two people claiming this, it's bricking their consoles, and there's over 20 million PS4 sold. So that percentage rate is ridiculously small. I know a lot of people that don't have a problem, and so it's like I'm not saying that it's not a problem. I'm just saying be aware of headlines like that, and that leads me into my next point, which is the original source of that news was totally how do you say totally biased. It was
At
people that
least not necessarily the original source, but one of the sources I saw
right
that was one of the early ones.
was talking about just silly stuff within the same parameter. They were talking about Halo 5 causing Zelda update and stuff. And so I just want to say,
What it said was that Halo 5 was why Nintendo delayed Zelda because they're afraid of Xbox, which doesn't make any sense because those are both exclusive games that don't compete with each other.
and they were saying that Halo 5 caused the PlayStations to brick.
Yeah, they said that it's like pure awesomeness, just like messed everybody, even though all there is a live action trailer. Well, and the beta, but I was obviously just some like either a troll or an Xbox fanboy, which I'm probably gonna go with Xbox fanboy based on how stupid people are nowadays. So
Right. And so back when the Xbox 360 was king, there was a lot of fake news that came out that was fake news to make the PS3 look bad. And I can give an example. I'm not going to go like totally crazy in depth about this because we have like 7 more minutes to cover our main topic, which is not really that big, but this is kind of bigger, I guess, in a way. But I'm just going to breeze through quickly. Kotaku claimed that they had an anonymous video sent to them anonymously where they posted an article that said Gran Turismo takes 15 minutes just to load one track, and it was like a video that somebody altered visually, slowed it down, and then matched the audio to be regular speed, so it seemed like somebody was at a gaming event, and then Gran Turismo 5 literally took like 15 minutes to load one track. You probably will be able to research this and find other sites that use them as a source. They might have deleted or edited since, but they probably left it up too to get the views. Anyways, point is, turns out the footage was actually them. It was Kotaku's staff at the event. It was their footage. So,
oh, big surprise!
yeah, big surprise. So they claimed it
I
came
could have
in.
guessed that.
Yeah, it supposedly came in anonymously, but if they really gave a shit about journalistic integrity, then they would have known to, hey, that's our footage. We were at the event and it didn't take that many minutes. Never mind the fact that they had played the game and knew that was false, but they posted it anyways. So I'm just putting it out there. Polygon was paid $400,000 by Microsoft when they were created as a like congratulations gift, even though the creator pretended that he left Kotaku because they were getting paid by Ubisoft Assassin's Creed, and that's probably not the real reason. And so I'm just putting it out there. There's a lot of websites and a lot of writers, and there's a little, tiny websites that are working hard, but then they just have a shitty writer come on and say some stupid shit. I'm just putting it out there. But just be careful. It seems like the trend of making fake news to make fun of PlayStation is back because it was like people were writing fake news to make Xbox One look bad after the whole DRM thing was already over with. And now it's coming to back when they used to bash PS3 and make like fake news against PS3. It's happening again to PS4. And we kind of have our dislikes with both companies, but I just
And both
wanted,
consoles in general.
yeah, but and PC. We have likes and
I have
dislikes.
issues with everything that is out, but I think I find more likes with the average way the consoles are built, but not so more dislikes with the actual way this generation is going. As right now, I think it's not the direction I originally saw.
Agreed. But basically, we everything has flaws. Nothing is perfect. So
Except me.
just keep in mind that there's fake news out there. That's why we call the site Real News. But anyways, final piece of news. This happened over the weekend as well. So apologies, it's Monday. And it's a very slow news day. So a lot of this news is kind of from the weekend. Mary Hennessy Jones is the head of a new group in the United Kingdom in which they are trying to get a law passed. The group is called the Nantwich Education Partnership Group, and they sent a letter to parents from 16 schools in the country and warned them that they could find themselves reported to the local authorities for neglect if they found out that their kids were being allowed to play violent games such as Call of Duty or Grand Theft Auto, which are both rated M for mature. And there's no law preventing a parent from letting a minor play the game, but retailers can be prosecuted legally for selling a game to a minor. But if an adult purchases it for them, such as a parent who feels their child can handle the content, then no law has been broken. So basically, these are false threats, but earlier this month, apparently, the British Prime Minister David Cameron warned teachers that adults in positions of responsibility could face jail sentences for up to 5 years for failing to report instances of neglect or abuse. And this group of people is taking it as a time to take a stance against video games, even though the warning came from the deceased Jimmy Savile, who was on this crazy popular British TV show, who had been doing sexual abuse against children, mostly teenage girls, for many, many years. And people knew about it, and authorities knew about it, people in power knew about it, and didn't try to stop them. And now these head teachers are acting out against video games. Of course, they probably think they're doing what's best for the world, but they're basically stepping on the parents' rights at this point, in my opinion. If I dare interject some opinion. This is kind of a hot topic where you can't really not have an opinion. So, I'm just going to say they're kind of stepping on the parents' rights because it's not illegal to play a game that's over 18 if you're not over 18. And it's not illegal for you to let your kid play that game, but it is illegal for the kid to get it on their own. And now they're sort of going down a slippery slope where they kind of expressing that they want it to be illegal and that they will try and do their best to get you into legal trouble anyways. And I don't know how things work in Britain, but I would bet it's very similar to America where the actual law doesn't matter. It's really just what the courts decide when you present them with an argument. So if they go into a court case and they say, Well, they're abusing their kid because they're letting them play GTA 5. It doesn't really matter the fact that it's not illegal. That doesn't really matter. What matters is how does the court react. And I'm willing to bet that this is the same in Britain. So, Doge, if you have any thoughts to add, I think I've said everything I have to say about it.
There are always two sides to every story that you could see both sides' opinions, but this is kind of like another case, and when it really gets down to it, of infringement on rights, especially people telling you how you're supposed to raise your child. Even though I would say there are some things like I would probably never let my kid play Grand Theft Auto 5. I would let him play Call of Duty because I've played it and I know it's not that bad of a game. I mean, it really isn't. It's just a multiplayer space. I'd say the more online interactions is probably where the M-rated come in, but I probably would actually just let my son actually play good games instead of Call of Duty. So, but
Right.
yeah, I could see why people get upset about GTA because that game is obviously made for mature audiences, people who actually can handle it, which I'd probably say is anybody 14 years or older. Even though when I was younger, I was playing Grand Theft Auto 3, but I could handle it. But I feel like with each generation, people seem to be able to less and less handle things on an overall basis when it comes to parents or just the way the world evolves. And everyone, I know it's always been like this for a long time. Basically, starting with games like such as the original Grand Theft Auto, excuse me, the original Grand Theft Auto,
Hmm.
and people like to blame a lot of violence or, of course, supposedly neglect on video games. And it's also been a big theme of Australia as they've basically censored these games or just not allowed them to release at all, with titles such as Hotline Miami 2, Saints Row 4, Grand Theft Auto 5, due to the fact of the violent nature in the games. But I mean, they're not made for kids; they're made for adults. But at the same time, they ESRB ratings and such are basically guidelines. Whether
Right,
it's
they're
E
not
for
law.
everyone, yeah, they're not law; they're guidelines. Even though most of the time, I would say people respect those guidelines, but I mean, just because a game's rated M for mature doesn't mean it's the most mature game you're ever going to play. There's a lot of rated M games that have like soft M ratings, such as Call of Duty. There's not too much blood. I mean, there's swearing, but that's a little bit different. That's a whole different argument. Really, it's more so in pretty close to the T range, but it just passes enough for the M range, mainly probably because of some stuff in the single player campaign. But I mean, come on, most people just skip over that and play the multiplayer and that sort of game like that.
Fair enough.
But when people say that that's child neglect and trying to tell you how you can raise your kids and how you're supposed to, that's kind of where I draw the line on. And of course, another case of them trying to strip our freedoms away of just basic things as they want to get put the world into more of a police state. I mean, if you don't know that, then you should definitely look it up. That's the big idea. And, you know, I just don't see why this is even still an argument of how video games can cause overall violence. I mean, I'm sure it may be with a few cases, but most of those people have been proven to be mentally ill in the first place and probably more influenced by their favorite movies and television shows. And because video games, after all this time, is still on the large scale not recognized as an art form. Still, after all these years and some of the great stories and such, and beautiful scenery that's been in video games, it's still not seen as an art form because people just wanted to pick them all as a virtual space where you can go and murder people, which, is not true at all. Despite the fact I do admit that the online community in a lot of games has definitely gone down the hill, but that's because of user interactions, not the overall basis. Because not everyone plays online. There's some people that play offline or they just, they connect to the internet, but they don't play multiplayer games.
Hmm.
And most people are very mature. They said since video games have come out, there's actually been more decline in first world countries in terms of crime among
Yeah.
minors and such because instead of
Well,
going out
actually,
and
all
getting in
age groups.
trouble, well,
It's
all age groups, yes,
according
but
to FBI data, violent crimes decrease worldwide,
whenever
particularly
a
in the
game like
United
Grand
States.
Theft Auto is released,
That's
I'm
right.
pretty sure they say Grand Theft Auto 5 the day it came out set the record for the day of least crime in the whole year of 2013. That was the
And
day of the least crime because everyone was at home playing Grand Theft Auto 5.
when you look at the PlayStation 2 releasing and Grand Theft Auto 3 releasing, there's also a lot of reduced crime.
So I don't understand how people could use that. Well, people who play video games are criminals. Well, that's not entirely true, but I could see why someone would want to bring that argument up, but I don't agree with that. I'm sure you don't either.
No.
And there's a lot of, especially when it comes to social media, a lot of people will defend to the end of the earth of why video games aren't this thing, that destroys and causes neglect, apparently. There's a lot of people that will defend the ends of the earth, but I don't necessarily agree with the methods that they try to defend, basically was saying they'll chop Jack Thompson's balls off and such things as that, which kind of ends up proving his point in the end.
Yeah, that's just
You know,
people lashing out on the internet when they should take an intelligent stance, and instead they lash out, and that's
oh, by the way, their grammar is terrible too.
well, people like that don't represent the community. That is a vocal minority, which is what people need to understand. It's not
Yeah.
it's not who we all are. It's not what we're all like. Just like a lot of people that listen to certain types of music might be criminal, but then a lot of them that listen to the music are not. So it just comes down to judging a book by its cover type of thing again. And so,
It comes down to who the person actually is, because because you play GTA 5 doesn't make you a criminal. That's like the stupidest argument ever. That's like saying because I like to eat a lot of bread, that makes me someone who makes bread, even though those are two entirely different things, but that's a very similar adjustment. I like bread, so I must know how to make bread. I must work at whatever they call a bread place nowadays. They used to have a name for it, but
so
it's
why is there no outrage for people watching the crazy movies like Saw and stuff like that, and nobody's worried about the kids watching the TV shows where being a slut is glorified and okay, and everybody's talking about all these messed up issues that are not supposed to be on a child's mind. That stuff is okay, and MTV 13 and Pregnant or whatever as a show
13 pregnant.
that's okay.
Oh, shit.
That's okay, but oh no, God forbid you played Call of Duty. Like I don't know. But anyways, that's a debate for another day, I guess. I appreciate you sharing your thoughts on this. Sorry for mixing a little opinion in this daily news, guys, but I hope you liked it. I think it's a little more interesting than the usual stuff. And
Usually we just sit here and say news, but now get a little bit more into it.
get a little bit more into it. That's right. And that's really what it's about anyways, our reactions to the news. I mean, you can get your news anywhere. So, you come to see what we think about it. And that's what we think about it. Watch out for fake news bashing either console, mostly PlayStation as the season at the
Glorious X-Bro Master
yeah,
Race.
it's mostly the flavor of the month to make fun of PlayStation, but it'll shift back and forth a few more times this generation, I'm sure. And
Hopefully they both die.
congratulations for Spotify. And also, one last piece. Rack and Ruin is out on PlayStation 4 tomorrow, and we will have a review of that. So be on the lookout for that. Alright, everybody, stay frosty.